It's Wednesday, August 4th. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blancolirio channel, and we are here today at the McClellan, returning to the McClellan Air Attack Base here in Sacramento, California, where things are very, very busy with the California fire season, including these MAFFS. Stay tuned for a full update. And look who's back, it's Kellen Bodine, summer intern Kellen Bodine. Kellen, quick, tell us, you were recently awarded a scholarship, and what else is your breaking news?
Yeah, so the Golden Empire Flying Association scholarship, I was one of the two lucky recipients, and I passed my private pilot check ride on the 23rd of July. So I'm your newest private pilot.
Outstanding, summer intern to private pilot in one season. So we got a lot of assets here at the McClellan Air Attack Base. They're going to get rolling here back soon for firefighting operations as soon as conditions permit. The smoke lifts on the fires. We've also activated a record number of MAFFS this early in the season. MAFFS, Modular Airborne Firefighting Force. The Air Force has a total, Air Force Guard and Reserves, has a total of 8 of these aircraft. They're stock C-130s, but during fire season, 8 of these can be converted with this roll-in system, which we'll show you here. To date, here at McClellan in California, we already have 5 of the 8 MAFFS activated, up, and running. This particular C-130 is from my old unit, the High Rollers, Nevada Air National Guard, out of Reno, Nevada. They recently picked up, in the last couple of years, the firefighting mission as an additional duty to their Guard unit. We've also got, well, there's another tanker, 9 is from Reno as well. We also got MAFFS from, where else, Evan? From Wyoming and the Hollywood Guard out of Channel Islands. So there's 4 units, each have 2 airplanes for a total of 8. We've also got Tanker 102, the old Mad Dog. There's one of the Broncos for CAL FIRE. There's Tanker 10 right there. What's the number on that one, Evan? 911. 911. And then the BAE 146, Tanker 15. Also on the airfield here is another DC-10 tanker and some more MAFFS. Okay, this is the Aero Union Modular Airborne Firefighting System in the back of the C-130s. This entire system weighs about 15,000 pounds empty weight, and we'll show you why here in a minute. The whole idea of this concept is to take a stock C-130 and turn it into a firefighting system by using this roll-aboard modular system. It just rolls right onto the back of the C-130, right on the rollers. So let's show you a little bit about how this works. When you're servicing the system, this flips out over the outside of that door. That's where you service the retardant, about 3,000 gallons of retardant. This connection here allows you to connect high pressure air to pressurize the system. This tank here is where the retardant and air is mixed. And those 2 white bottles over here on either side of the tank supply the high, or store the high pressure air. Then the retardant is ejected out the pintle valve, out the old paratroop door, through this large tube here. Air is taken in from here once the system is emptied to help purge the last of the retardant out of the system, so that's an air vent. Operating this system is two loadmasters back here. They sit right here, and here's the controls for it. So with this newer Aero Union system, you can get up to a coverage level 8. That's 8 gallons. Is that right? 8 gallons or 80 gallons? 8 gallons per 100 square feet. Coverage level 8. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. But coverage level 6 is about optimum for these MAFFS units. Out here in the forest, though, you often need coverage level 8 to be effective. Enough retardant to cover the foliage. So here the loadmaster can select a whole load, a half a load, a third a load, or even a sixth of a load, and he can select his coverage level as well. He can control the opening and closing of the pintle valve right here, as well can the pilots up in the cockpit. This whole system here is the hydraulic system, the independent hydraulic system that opens and closes the pintle valve at the end of this tube, releasing the retardant. So here is your independent pressure, independent hydraulic reservoir. Here's the hydraulic pump, and here's 4 accumulators that can get that valve open in the event that all these hydraulics fail. Also too, of course, like any tanker, you need an emergency way of releasing the retardant. What most pilots use, well, let's back up a little bit. When you first take off, you got your 3,000 gallons of retardant in here, but this tank is not yet quite pressurized. As you proceed to the fire, you begin to pressurize this tank to the desired pressure. So in the event of an emergency on takeoff, an emergency dump simply opens up the pintle valve all the way, opens up this air vent, and just dumps the retardant out as fast as gravity can right out of the pintle valve system. Once the aircraft is on the fire and the system is properly pressurized, really the quickest way to release all your retardant is to just simply do a full drop. You just tell them, get rid of the load, and they hit the switch for a full drop and dump the load under pressurization. Now let's go up front here and show you why this particular system empty weight is about 15,000 pounds. With this system loaded with 3,000 gallons of retardant, you're taking the C-130 H model up to its max gross takeoff weight of about 155,000 pounds. So up here, to add additional flexibility to this system, are 2 air compressors. So this system can independently pressurize itself using these 2 air compressors. And in fact, once they've made a drop and they're told to load and return, the crews will begin to pressurize this system as they return to the retardant base, if they're going to a retardant base that doesn't have external compressors, such that all they got to do with the engines running is drop that retardant line out there, fill up this tank with 3,000 gallons of retardant, and they can turn the base in about 10 minutes. But these compressors are big and they're heavy, and that's why this thing weighs so much, and they're a little bit finicky. So if you come to a base like McClellan that has compressed air, it's easier to just use their compressed air and not use the onboard compressors. But these onboard compressors allow you the flexibility to go to other bases that do not have compressed air and just retardant only. Here's the only mod you really need to make to a C-130 to make it a MAFFS C-130, is you got to give it the power ports that it needs right here to connect the MAFFS system to. Here's the pintle valve that moves in and out right here via the hydraulic system and ejects the retardant out the side of the aircraft, and there is the air inlet can right there. And that's all you need to turn your C-130 into a firefighting machine. High rollers out of Reno, Nevada. We're in the cockpit of the H3. Breaking news, there's a whole new system on here since I've flown these things. Propeller Electronic Control System. Gone are the old speeder springs and flyweights of the old Hamilton standard propellers, which were problematic. If you jam the throttles forward on those systems, you could easily pitch lock a propeller or give yourself other kinds of problems. The speeder, spring, and flyweights mechanical system has been replaced with an electronic prop control system, making the system much more reliable. So here's your throttles, which really just control the pitch of the propeller. These engines run at nearly 100% RPM all the time, and then you adjust the thrust that you need using these throttles, which control the pitch of the propellers, which gives you instant thrust when you need it. Here's the condition levers to start and stop the engines, and of course you can get into reverse with these engines by bringing these 4 throttles up and over the gate. This is really a flight engineer driven aircraft. It's an incredibly complicated aircraft, and you need a really sharp enlisted flight engineer to manage this system, because here's your 4 engine instruments, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all lined up in a row. Nice old school round dial gauges, so you can see trends quickly, but these gauges are pretty small, so the flight engineer is really keeping an eye on that. But up here in the overhead panels, Kellen, if you can get this, here's your fire control handles here. Here's your fuel system right here, and this is all flight engineer territory. He's sitting in this seat right between the 2 pilots. He's managing this complicated fuel system. He's managing the electrical system. None of this is automated like modern aircraft. And then up here is the rather dangerous bleed air system on a C-130. A bleed air leak in a C-130 is a major emergency. And then here's your pressurization system as well, right up here. And then of course you got your standard flight instruments for the left seater and flight instruments for the right seater. The FO has a little bit of hydraulic management right here. And as far as, here's your tiller for steering it on the ground. You got great windows down here. You can really see out of the C-130, making it a great low-level aircraft. Regarding the fire dropping of the retardant, Kellen over here, if you can see it, the FO, the guy in the right seat, co-pilot, hangs that on his, just leave that there, Kellen. Yeah, but let's not mess with it. He pins that onto his suit, and when the captain calls for the drop, the co-pilot makes the drop. If that does not work, the load masters in the back will automatically get the load going for you. Down here is your flaps, trim, ancient old autopilot, and this aircraft appears to still be equipped with some form of station keeping equipment. Yeah, that's what this is over here. So you can fly formation with other aircraft using this ancient station keeping equipment. Missing up here is the additional box to view the folks. Maybe they've got it integrated into these newer glass panels now, I'm not sure, but here's more of that station keeping equipment that allows you to fly formation at night in the weather and keep track of a whole train of C-130s coming in on a air drop. Very, very versatile machine. It's a lot of work, and these things they got hydraulics on the controls, and when you're working these things, you'll see them make huge control inputs on takeoff, landing, and or on a retardant drop. Back here's the Navigators Station and the famous crew bunk right here. Here's where you can go up for your air shows and watch the show. Emergency escape hatch here. There's another crew bunk right down here. And right around here should be, yep, the old galley. Get your coffee there. And then more electrical systems underneath. All right, Kellen, let me tell you about one of the world's greatest secrets here, flying for the Guard or Reserves. The Guard and Reserves are hiring pilots right off the streets. They're looking for guys that, like you, have recently got your pilot's license. You're in a particular community where this Guard or Reserve base is located, and you've got your college degree. You got those 3 items together, and you can go interview with the Guard unit. And if you are accepted into that Guard unit, they will send you to undergraduate pilot training. First, they'll send you to go get your commission through OTS, Officers Training School, and then you'll go through the best flying training program there is out there. That's Air Force pilot training with all the rest of the students, but you as a guard member, you already know your assignment. You know what aircraft you're coming back to, and you're on active duty orders this whole time as a second lieutenant and then a first lieutenant. So you got good money and you're getting Air Force training, and then you're coming back to a guard unit to where you can work full or part-time, continue to earn your hours. You're getting multi-engine. Soon you'll upgrade to aircraft commander. It might take a few years, and then the world's your oyster then.
Yeah,
man,
sounds great.
So that's that. And also these guard units, of course, are also picking up former active duty guys. They need to get the experience, keep the experience level up in the guard unit. That's how I got on. Well, I came through the 141 community, but experienced Air Force pilots, preferably experienced C-130 pilots, bring them into the guard unit from active duty. And that's a great way to continue to get your 20 years. Don't do like I did and get out too soon, because if you do, you lose that medical benefits, and that's the big thing towards retirement. You can't get medical benefits until you're age 65 if you don't have any military retirement benefits. So that is a great way to go. I highly recommend it.
Think about it.
Think about it. Get up there. Here's some of the variety of C-130s you'll see on the flight line today. Number 6 here from the Hollywood Guard, Channel Islands. That's a J model C-130 with the 6-bladed props in the feathered position. In the middle, MAFFS 2 is looks like a Colorado Springs H model C-130 with the original 4-bladed Hamilton standard propellers. And MAFFS number 3 is Wyoming Guard unit, H3 model with the new 8-bladed propellers. These MAFFS aircraft provided by the U.S. military are only to be used once all of the resources of the contract firefighting aircraft are all used up. In other words, when they've run out of contract aircraft, that's when they call the MAFFS to help support the firefighting fight. Now here at CAL FIRE, they're still working on their own fleet of C-130s. I'm not sure what the total number of aircraft are going to be, but here in about a year and a half or so, CAL FIRE should hopefully have their own fleet of dedicated C-130 air tankers. These C-130 air tankers are going to be fitted with a dedicated tank system. So unlike the heavy modular system, this will be a tanked system, computer controlled, up to coverage level 8, I'm sure, probably along the order of 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of retardant. These will be initial attack qualified air tankers. They'll be based throughout the state, one here at Sacramento, McClellan, one at Fresno, and maybe one down towards Ramona. And this will be a great asset to the CAL FIRE firefighting fleet of aircraft. Hopefully Tanker 119 here will be online the soonest. So CAL FIRE is still working through all the bureaucracy, if you will, that it takes to get the tanked system engineered and installed into these H-model C-130s. So that's the current update from McClellan Air Force Base. These boys are going to be launching soon as the smoke begins to lift off of these fires here in the Northern California area. Unprecedented firefighting conditions again this year. The PIG, the probability of ignition, is upwards of 97%. In other words, if you take 100 matches and throw them out into the forest right now, 97 of those matches is going to ignite and start a fire. Spotting, even in these light wind conditions, has just been dreadful. When the north winds hit here, we are going to get clobbered. So thanks again so much for your support of this channel, especially over on Patreon, that makes this content possible. Say goodbye, Kellen.
See you here.
That's it. That's the way you do it. And no sooner than when Kellen and I returned to Nevada County Airport, turning base to final in the Cessna 310, did the river fire break out near Colfax, California. Nearly all the air tankers that we visited today at McClellan Air Force Base participated in the firefight on this river fire, dropping over 250,000 gallons of retardant in a 6-hour period, keeping this fire down to 2,600 acres. This fire resulted in the evacuation of over 6,000 people and the loss of 80 structures. Eventually, at the end of the day, the winds died down and the fire was able to be stopped at 2,600 acres. Just 5 miles from the Nevada County Airport and very close to home.